Hello everyone, my name is Megan and this is Missouri River Homestead. So about me, I have been raised in Montana since I was a young girl. I became interested in holistic health and growing my own food, and that led me to permaculture. My fiance and I own 20 acres of old farmland, and we would like to build a well-functioning closed-loop system on it. Our goals are to live off the land, provide goods to the local community, and then spread the knowledge that we have learned through workshops and outreach. So our design thesis and vision statement. I'm just going to go through a couple because I'm trying to keep this at 20 minutes or so. So we'd like to maintain the property in a regenerative way. We would like to work with Mother Nature and harness the resources that flow through the land. And then we'd like to invite others onto the land to observe, learn, and volunteer. 5-year goals. A couple of our 5-year goals are to build a successful water system that will catch the runoff on our land. We'll do that through swale systems, ponds, rain barrels. We'd like to create a food forest, add solar panels and wind turbine to capture off-grid energy. We would like to create a compost program through the farm business, build a workshop area, and an outhouse style compost toilet to go with the workshop area. And then we'd like to teach about permaculture systems through workshops. Here's our base map. So we are about 1 mile from the headwaters of the Missouri River, and the area is now subdivided into 10 and 20 acre lots, and we have a 20 acre parcel, but for this design I'm just going to focus on about 3 acres that surrounds the existing structures. There is a house and a garage. There's a greenhouse. There is, the septic field is here. There's some sheds out here and chicken coop. And then this is all fencing. So we have a perimeter fence, and we also have some pastured areas. There's a couple here, one around the septic drain field. There is a bee yard, and this is some road here. These are our tracks. And gravel here, and then the road in the front is a dirt road. So we are in zone hardiness 4. The soil is predominantly clay and silt. Most of our precipitation comes from snowfall in the winter months, and the altitude is 4,341 feet with an intermountain grassland biome. So here is the existing foliage. We have a few trees to work around. There's a few out in the back area. There's quite a few around the house. These are mostly fruit trees here. This will be tied into the food forest, swale built behind it, etc. There's a few trees in the front, and then we have some pine trees up here along the road. So the zones. The first zone is around the house and the chicken coop. It's in yellow here. This is where we spend a lot of time just hanging out. Obviously, we spend a lot of time in the house. We have to check on the chickens every day, collect eggs, so they're included. And zone 2 is in green here. It extends out to the greenhouse. It goes by, I have some goats and horses back here, and it includes them. So I do visit this once a day, or twice a day actually, once in the morning and once in the evening. But it's just a quick run through to do chores, and then it varies depending on time of year. Zone 3 includes all the fruit trees here and the back of the animal runs. So I'll go out there once a week or so, check on everything, make sure all the fences are doing their job, etc. Zone 4 This includes all this pasture area. So I'll rotate the goats around this pasture area, and it includes the bee yard, which I don't have to check on very often. Zone 5, this is the additional pasture that's kind of just left to its own devices. And then I included the river, which is about a mile away from us, and we go down there quite often to get out of the house, relax, cool off, just have fun by the river. Here's the sectors. So we get quite a bit of wind, especially when the seasons are changing. We get quite a bit from the southwest, and we'll get some from the north. But we don't get a lot from the east. Every now and again, we'll get a storm that kind of swirls around, but for the most part, we don't get much wind out of the east. This is runoff. We do get a lot of runoff. We are positioned under some hills, and so we get a lot of runoff coming through the property. Here's the sun. This is fall, winter. In the fall and winter, the sun actually comes in through the back windows and heats the house up. It's really nice. And then in the summer, it just goes right over the top of the house and doesn't really shine in any of the windows, just for a minute in the morning and a minute in the evening. So that's really nice as well. We have good views out here. We have good views to the southwest and to the northwest. And we get a lot of pollution from the road here. We live off a dirt road. My cat is knocking on the computer. So we get a lot of pollution from the road, and a lot of dust gets kicked up when cars go by. Here are some cooler microclimates on the east and north side of the big structures. It stays a lot cooler than everywhere else. Hotter microclimates on the south side of the house and the garage. It gets very warm. The hot air gets trapped there. So resources. A couple of resources would be income from off-farm jobs, income from farm products, runoff, table garden scraps, wind energy. We get a lot of sun out here, animal waste. We get a lot of grasshoppers, which helps supplement the bird food. And we have a great community and a Facebook group. Water systems. So this is what we would like to have for water systems. I would like to build a couple ponds to catch runoff. These are swales that would direct water into the pond. And we would like to do some rain barrels off the greenhouse, off the shed, chicken coop, basically any rooftop that we can put a rain barrel on, we would like to do. And then, so these swales are slightly off contour, so they'll collect into the pond. And then we'd like to have an on contour swale here and here, so that it holds there and doesn't direct the water elsewhere. Components and connections. Our objective is to have everyone and everything play a part in sustaining and caring for the other elements of the system. So animal manure goes to garden, goes to pasture. The goats keep down the weeds in the pastures. They also provide us with goat milk for various other, for cheese and soap and a little income. Birds keep grasshoppers down. They also give us eggs and meat. Let's see, we have bees that pollinate the vegetable and herb gardens. They also provide us with honey and wax. And then rainwater fills the swales and the ponds. and also keeps water off of areas that we don't want flooded. We have a wood stove that keeps the house warm. The ashes from the stove can be used in various things, in the gardens, in the chicken area as a dust bath. They can help keep algae under control. It can be used as pest control and also can be used as ice melt. Solar and wind will provide us with renewable energy. Let's see, the food forest supplies fruit, and the gardens provide food, etc. Here are the edges and microclimates. So a lot of the edges are around the buildings, the water systems, the tree areas. So the structures create significant microclimates to work with. The southern sides get a lot hotter and they're a lot drier, and then the northern sides are a lot cooler and they stay a lot moisture, a lot more moist. Then the trees also create cooler microclimates. Here are the paths, patterns, and flows. So this red is my daily path. I come out of the house, check the chickens, check the goats, check the greenhouse, and then back to the house. So it's nice, and it's a nice circle for chores in the morning. This green, the goats are over here in the corner. That's where their barn is, or well, they have a shed. The goat rotation, this is a pasture here, and then here's a pasture here, and here, and here, and here. So they just kind of flow through the pastures. I'll keep them on pasture for however many weeks until the pasture looks like it needs to be rotated. It kind of depends on time of year. And this is the bird rotation. So I'll rotate the birds through as well. We get a lot of grasshoppers. The birds are allowed to come in the area with the trees. And then they kind of follow this rotation here with the yellow line, and they help keep a lot of grasshoppers down. Here are the plants, trees, and gardens that I would like. So we have a few things already built. We have the greenhouse here, the bee yard. We plant flowers, sunflowers in the bee yard. And I would like to, where the fruit trees are already, build the swale and then add in a lot of other vegetation, a lot of other perennial food sources here under the fruit trees, and add some more fruit trees. Kind of fill it in and make a nice food forest out of this. A swale up here, so we'll need some vegetation on that swale to keep it from eroding. And a swale down here, so we'll need to plant that as well. Moisture-loving plants around the ponds and the bottom of the swales. Shade-loving plants in these cooler microclimates. Along here, I didn't put it in, but we're going to do spinach along the greenhouse there so it stays nice and cool in the summer. And then some heat-tolerant plants along the south side here. This area gets warm, but I'd like to have some flowers there by the house so we can have some flowers off the deck. All right, so this is the built environment over 5 years. 2 ponds, The swales, food forest. Over here I'd like to add some garden beds. Workshop area here, compost toilet, solar, wind, and we'll see how far we get. Social and invisible structures. So time is a huge one. Montana summers are short. Economy is another huge one. The economy is changing like crazy right now. We'll just kind of have to go with the flow and see what we can accomplish. Climate change, our weather is stranger and stranger, so we don't know exactly what to expect. Like last season, I planted a bunch of stuff at the beginning of spring, and then in June, the first week of June, we had an insanely hot windstorm that killed a ton of my newly planted plants. It was super windy and like 100 degrees. Laws and regulations, we'll have to follow the regulations in our subdivision. Luckily, we don't have an HOA, but you know, they're still building codes and whatnot. There's also land being sold off around us, new neighbors moving in. Losing people is a lesson that we learned this year. We lost a really good neighbor. He would help us out with a lot of projects. So that was really sad. And he was a really great guy too, so we lost that friendship as well. We also, employees and volunteers, we need a lot of help, and this can present unpredictable scenarios. So advanced social aspects. Working with volunteers and employees can be really tough. There's a lot to figure out. Managing people is a whole ball game in its own. So that's been something that's been interesting to navigate, and making expectations clear, setting intentions and timelines is very helpful. Learning how to address issues in a professional way, and then working people with different views and just different experience, considering new and different approaches as beneficial instead of needing things to be done my way. Land share is something that I've thought about, opening up a portion of the land so that other people can come and teach permaculture things, or I have friends that are into medicinal herbs. I have friends that are yoga instructors and they would like to come and do stuff on the farm. So bringing people in to the property that we have will be a lot of fun, and having other people come experience what we're lucky enough to be able to provide. Oh, well, I can't really go back, so we'll just continue on. I'm almost at 20 minutes anyways. So another thing, we would like to open up the farm and invite kids in. One of the things that I really love about having a farm is the immune boosting benefits. I really believe that being in the dirt and being around the animals is super beneficial for your health. So I feel really grateful to be able to raise my children here, and I would like to be able to share that with others. So one thing that I will have to really consider when bringing people onto the property is what kind of legality there is, what kind of insurance I need. So there's all these things that have to be navigated as well. For the community, I thought it would be really fun to get together. We live really close to the river access, so organizing a river bottom cleanup and having a barbecue there. also having informal work parties for veggie trade. I'd like to volunteer with some more local programs just to get more involved in my community and also meet more people that are of the same mindset. And then I really am lucky to have some family that lives close to me that I can help with childcare, because I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. So getting all of the farm chores done and projects is a little bit tough, but luckily I have some family to help me out. They also help me with markets and vegetable processing. So we use a lot of technology, and we live pretty far out of town, so transportation is huge. We also have quite a bit going on out here, lots of heavy loads to lift. So we have a tractor for hauling heavy loads, a car for commuting into town and bringing goods to market. I do walk a lot around the property. We have bikes for going to the river and swale to transport water. Energy, the solar, the wind, we are on the power grid. Personal energy and animal energy, we try to harness that as much as we can. Here is animal waste and nutrient cycles. So we have a lot of animals on the property, and they actually do a lot for us. They help keep our pastures down, they help fertilize, we put birds into the garden when we have high pests in there. We try to attract a lot of wild pollinators and birds, and occasionally we'll have some coyotes or deer pass through. So our flock provides a lot of bug control and a lot of nutrient-rich poo to add to the compost. We always try to have a good sized flock of turkeys because we have a lot of grasshoppers out here, and the turkeys are the best at keeping the grasshoppers down. And then they provide us with meat in the fall. Our goats keep the pastures really nice while fertilizing. They provide milk for cheeses and soaps. They're really fun to have around. And we have bees to pollinate. We also have rabbits, and they have the best poo. We can add that to our houseplants, we add it to our garden beds, flower beds. You don't have to compost it before you add it in, so that's really nice. And then kitchen scraps go into the compost, and then some of them go to the animals as treats. So here is the implementation phase 1. A large compost area back here by the gardens and the greenhouse. Swales, these swales to keep the runoff off of our yard and keep some of these areas from flooding. So phase 2, second pond, additional gardens, solar, swale here along the driveway. Phase 3, build some more tree guilds, compost toilet, wind turbine, workshop area. Here's the species list. I won't go through this because I'm running out of time here. And components list. And stakeholder interviews. So what I'd like to see from this project is a property that flows with nature and is built in a way that harnesses and captures resources on the land in a positive way. I'd also like to see the land start to regenerate and be financially stable through the farm business side of things. I talked to both my neighbors that have lived in the area for years, and one of the things I learned from them was about how the rock deposit patterns are in the area. Like, our property has a lot of soil, and then just across the road is like completely rock. So we got pretty lucky there. So my fiance would like to see a sustainable farm that provides for itself with healthy land and animals and also produces healthy food for the family. So before building some of the more serious permaculture systems, I've been observing the property for 3 seasons. Flooding, pests, wind, those are some of the things that I was able to observe and plan around. Personal boundaries. So time, there's only so much time. We all need more time, especially in Montana. We have short growing season. So I also have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old that I have to work around. So time is a big one. Energy as well. There's only so much energy to put towards these projects in a day. Income is another big one. Some of these projects require a lot of additional income, the solar and wind, and now since I started this project to now, there's been a lot of economical changes in everyone's life, and so we might have to adjust accordingly. We'll see when I start digging into how much those projects are going to cost. Ability. I also don't have all the skills to implement some of these things. I am going to have to tap into my community for knowledge and resources. So here is my timeline. Year 1, I just want to kind of focus on the swales and planting some of the trees and vegetation in the swale area, and add a rain barrel system. Catching water is the biggest thing. I gotta catch this water. So that's the first year. Year 2, I added finish any projects that inevitably don't get completed during year 1 because that's how life goes. Year 2, I would like to add the solar panels. We really want to get some off-grid energy source going soon, but I didn't mention in the year 1, research solar systems is on my task timeline. So in year 2, assess the systems that have been implemented so far and adjust to what works and what doesn't. Year 3, same, finish projects that didn't get completed previously. Research wind turbines in year 3, add more gardens, plant water gardens around the pond, assess and adjust. Year 4, add the wind turbine, assess and adjust. So, and year 5, finish any projects that didn't get completed, enjoy all the hard work that I put into it, because that's one thing that you have to do. You got to enjoy what you've already done. Add anything that comes up over the years to the existing systems. And then I would really like to get artsy with it and add a lot of flowers and ornamentals for our enjoyment, and then start planning for the next 5 years. Maintenance. February is the time to get organized and set the year goals. Find help through Facebook, plan garden layouts, move the birds out of the greenhouse, figure out what farmers markets I'm going to be doing for the year, and then as the snow melts, I can start getting outside and working on projects. Spring maintenance. Find volunteers and employees, get organized for the year's projects, clean up after the winter season, start gardens. Summer, plant additional trees, observe around the house and property to improve flow where possible, maintain gardens and animals with employee help, attend farmers markets. Fall maintenance, finish up summer projects, get organized for harvest season, line up volunteer help, save seeds, preserve veggies, butcher animals, prepare property for overwintering. Evaluations. During this course, I learned a lot about how the natural world connects in so many unexpected ways and how important observation is. Really taking the time to observe and think about all the connections is so beneficial. I also feel like I've connected more to my spiritual side while working with my site and all the creatures that share it with me. I feel like this course has been a great experience, not only for the future of the property, but it's also made me more aware of the community I live in and how I can be of service to my fellow neighbors. I feel like I've become more adaptable and I'm able to respect the process while practicing patience. I have a huge project that will continue to grow, and inevitably plans will change as I dive in. Navigating social structure changes, climate's changing, the needs of the property and of our family are shifting and will continue to change. So I feel that this course has given me a good foundation to adjust accordingly with resilience and good humor. It takes a lot of good humor to do a project like this, especially with kids around. All right, so thank you all for watching, and thank you to the teachers and everybody that has helped put this course together. I thought it was great, and I can't wait to go back and dive into all the extra articles and information that I just couldn't get to. Okay, bye.